Greetings. Hit the like, share. Nolan Wells' family is bringing us the results of their findings in the independent autopsy results. The police still have not released their autopsy results. The mom just gave a speech. The father's giving a speech. They're talking about their son. And Crump talked about the lack of the police. And they're getting ready to tell us what they found.
And like my wife said, we just want honesty. We want to know what happened to our son because the things that you're telling us, that's not the character of our son. We know our son. I understand, our children would do things that, that would kind of dumbfound us sometimes, but the things that we're being told, there wasn't Nolan. So please keep us in your prayers, keep him in your prayers, and we're going to keep pushing and fighting until we find answers. Thank you guys for your love and support.
Thank you so much, Christine and Nolan, Christine and Elmore, Nolan's mother and father. Before we start to um, go over the preliminary findings from the independent autopsy, we will hear from Attorney Lisa Park to tell you about who uh, was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy. Attorney Lisa Park.
Thank you. Dr. Roger Mitchell could not join us today, but we felt it important before we reveal and unfold this report that you understand who conducted this autopsy. Dr. Roger Mitchell is a physician and board-certified forensic pathologist with 2 decades of experience. He currently serves as the president of the National Medical Association, which is the oldest and largest group of Black physicians in the U.S. Most recently, he also served as president of Howard University Hospital, chief medical officer of the Howard University Faculty Practice Plan, and chair of the Department of Pathology. Before joining Howard, he served as chief medical examiner for Washington, D.C. from 2014 to 2021, and later as interim deputy mayor for the Public Safety and Justice. Dr. Mitchell has conducted and managed thousands of autopsies and is nationally recognized for his work at the intersection of medicine, public health, and justice. And for this case, we sought out the very best, and we are proud to be working with the very best.
I don't get the
Thank you,
clapping.
Attorney Park.
It's not an award show.
I again want to express our gratitude to President Johnson, Chairman Russell, and the NAACP because civil rights is more important than ever in the United States of America today. And so we thank you for the civil rights leaders stepping up to say that
I appreciate telling us who the guy is and letting the parents speak, but I feel like they dragging it, and I don't appreciate it. But it could just be me.
our children's lives matter now more than ever. And I want to thank all of you for getting up 8 in the morning. If people could see how many people are gathered here, they would say, you all are truly blessed to have the support of America, Christine and Elmore. And I want to thank the media for covering this matter uh, because they don't always cover when our children are taken away from us in highly unquestionable ways. And I do understand there's a lot of news going on in America today. Um, I woke up to them saying LeBron James is going to announce where he's going to play basketball next year. But I'm very happy that the media said this story is just as important. Is just as important. And I'm sure LeBron James and Rich Paul and Stephon Curry and Draymond Green, Jaylen Brown. And
We all want justice for Nolan. Well, most of us do. A lot of us do. And I support the family. Um, I just don't like. I don't like this dragging out. Most of us that are tuned in right now have other stuff we need to be doing, actually, and they should just come with the results. A lot of times when I view lives, I let them get cracking a bit so I can watch it at double speed, because it'd be a lot of fluff in live videos. So, you know, um, he feel like we got all day. And his whole stance, everything, it's just like, I just got to pause it so I won't get too irritated just by looking and listening to him. Because, sir, read us the results and then say all you want to say.
B, Maxi, Giannis, Bam, and many other players in the National Basketball Association will all agree that our children's lives are far more important than where LeBron or any other player will play next year. And so that's why I thank you all for being here, because this news is as important as any news in the United States of America.
He just made a good point, and they've been getting a lot of celebrity support, which is great to see. I'm talking about great to see, because when you be very clear with your statements by how they have been with Nolan, we supposed to show up and we supposed to make noise, because it's not okay.
Finding out why is Nolan Wells dead. And I want to thank you all who have called the call center. I want to thank Reverend Al Sharpton. I want to thank Mr. Tyler.
And again, he's the pro at this. I'm not, so he's doing his job. I'm the one who gotta go do other things and waiting for him to get to the results. But he is making a great point, and it's important to make these points. So, as impatient as I and probably others are, we got to keep it real. This ain't no stop and move on. We done with that. This is no small thing. The way these people have been dealing with this, it's time to put a stop to all of this. The way that they're handling us because we're black, no, it's not okay. We can't have our young men out here afraid for their lives and thinking that nobody's gonna pay attention and do anything when they come up missing and then find them deceased.
I want to thank Mr. Terry Owens for putting up the $125,000 reward for anybody out there who have information. So we
Yep.
can
Shout
get
out
to
to
the
Terrell
truth
Owens for that.
of
T.O.
what happened. I mean, any videos, we've got so many videos, President Johnson, from that day from young people, and we want them to have the courage to come forward with the pictures, what you heard. I know people said there were a lot of disturbances out there. Some believe it involved Nolan. All of those are important to get to the truth of what happened. The fact, Christine, that the United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed. Well, that's significant to us because the last time we saw him on the videos, he was without a shirt. So at what point did he put on a shirt? Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. There were almost 300, 400 people. Somebody knows something.
What's up, Skippy? That's right. Somebody knows something.
Scott X, we're trying to just make sure people understand that you can call the Nolan Wells tip line. At benchrome.com, we will gladly listen to you, take any information as we try to put together this puzzle of what happened to Nolan Wells. And today, we're going to add some more parts to this puzzle. Because my legal team and I, we stand for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. We stand for justice, no matter who it convicts or it acquits. Yeah, and we stand for transparency because we got eyes that can see, and we don't need government officials having to narrate it for you and me. We can see it for ourselves. Transparency. That leads to the truth. The truth is the foundation for accountability and justice. And that's all we're seeking, as Christine and Elmore said, from day one. So with that, and Christine and Elmore, if you all want to sit, we're about to go through this autopsy. I know it may be a little emotional. Thank you, Christine. As we begin to present the preliminary findings of the autopsy, we want to especially thank Mr. Colin Kaepernick for not taking it robbery to pay for the autopsy. Let's go first. So,
I know his funeral was yesterday. I believe he had a closed casket, and I can't see why she wouldn't have an open casket unless he wasn't in good condition at all. And I believe that this autopsy is going to come out with a lot of terrible things. I really do. I really do. These people definitely are covering up some whatever happened. I mean, that's clear.
An autopsy will be provided for the media and press at
And if there are any of us out here, especially the youth, that don't understand it, hopefully this will tell you. They don't care about us. Please believe that.
So, Dr. Roger Mitchell, board certified forensic pathologist, performed a preliminary report on the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. He conducted and presented this report on July 19, 2026. Uh, Preliminary report, second autopsy, death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Cause of death, undetermined, pending investigation. And we'll explain that as we go through the report this morning. The manner of death, undetermined, pending investigation. Segment of examination. This forensic pathologist was retained to perform a second autopsy examination on the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. Name of decedent, Nolan Xavier Wells, age 18 years old, race, black, gender, male, date of death, unknown. Second autopsy date was performed on July 10th, 2026. Preliminary findings, and this is significant. Focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region. He said the etiology is unknown at this time. He said the body was received after the initial autopsy. He said the body had marked decompensation. He said corona incision of the scalp, brain removal, Y-shaped incision of the anterior torso, and he talked about the organs being removed as is common.
I need you guys just listen. Just listen. Take it all in. Just take in the information. I would keep recording and or go to the transcripts and look this stuff up to get a better understanding. Unless you're a medical professional and you know about autopsies, I'm talking about medically know about autopsies, you're gonna make a lot of assumptions on things you hear, but these are medical terms and they mean something. And you know what people do on social media, they talk. Unless you know what you're talking about, then you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to these results.
Accompanied in the body cavity. And that when you have an autopsy, the organs are removed from the body and they are dissected and examined. And then they are put back in a bag inside the body. So when they're buried, their remains will all be with them. But in this occasion, if there's going to be a second autopsy, then the organs are put in the body cavity so the second pathologist could be able to examine the organs as well. Very significant for Dr. Major was that the anterior inner neck structures were absent, not received with the body. And we'll explain that in just a minute. And then it talks about the additional procedures performed during the second autopsy. And we'll go into the paragraphs on that there because he explains it better in his narrative. So where's the verse?
For people who saying he can't read, he's reading just fine. Okay, that is an enlarged autopsy report, but it's still small print. And he is going from looking to and addressing the audience to going back to find the line he was on and reading it. It does not sound like he cannot read. It does not sound like he is struggling. It sounds like it should sound given how he's reading this document. And also reading a formal autopsy report that has procedures and steps and things that most of people aren't going to be able to translate it as you're not qualified to read and understand an autopsy report. Sometimes death investigations take time, guys.
So
A lot of times they
he
do.
talks in the preliminary discussion opinion. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen. He talked about
He
the
should have gotten pictures.
second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body.
And one thing that does help a lot when they're doing an autopsy, especially if you have decomposition, advanced decomposition, which you probably did with him, the sun, the water, the salt, everything, and that it's already had an autopsy, but you have also full pictures that are taking of the body before, during, and after an autopsy. 9 times out of 10, and it sounds like it, the police department did not hand over those pictures to their independent autopsy. And that is a battle that you will have to face if you go and get your independent autopsy. And I will have my attorneys make sure they hand it over, you know. But when it is us, they're going to, these are some of the problems here. So he's at a great disadvantage not having those pictures, okay? A great disadvantage.
When he received it on the 10th of July. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures not performed during the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep soft tissue, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms, and legs. He did all of this to rule out things. He ruled out there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries.
The initial medical examiner also is at a great advantage, because if it is suspected that a family will get a second autopsy, they have the opportunity to, they have the knowledge and everything to make it very difficult for the second medical examiner to make certain determinations and things like that. So,
This was very important because he wanted to be very thorough and very transparent, because transparency is the key to getting to the answers of why Nolan Wells is not with us. So he did that there and was very straightforward, very open, very open. He says, however, dissection of the back of the head during the lead posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8-inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. And
okay, so someone in the comment section is saying you can't use these results, and doesn't it have to say homicide? He is mentioning injuries, okay? However, this is not the state's medical examiner, This is a qualified medical examiner, right? But again, like I said before, this is their second autopsy. They are not directly working on this case, they're not directly working with law enforcement. Medical examiners who work with law enforcement on a case that are hired by the county, they are working directly with law enforcement, and generally they make determinations together. They go over the autopsy together. They may call the cop in, look at this, look at that, based upon information the cop has found in conjunction with things that the medical examiner found. I know you guys seen some of this on TV. It does go like that a lot of the times, right? This medical examiner, because of how they are moving in this case, did not have anything but Nolan's body. Okay, great disadvantage. Does that mean it is over? No, because he can later get access to things, but it would have been greatly beneficial at the time he did the autopsy, and they know this, of course, and so of course he don't get it, just like we still haven't heard their results. But of course the toxicology report is gonna come with that, and it probably isn't back yet, so they would do it all at the same time, but they aren't doing much of anything right now. But what we're hearing so far is that, there's a lot to be saying here with what the body has gone through, and it sounds like there's trauma points.
He talked about how he found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone, and he saw the red discoloration, and we actually saw the pictures of it. It's significant. You can't help but notice why is this dark red here in the back of his head. And so he was important to note that in his report.
Just like the base of the back of the head.
He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation.
Okay.
It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed.
Okay.
He said,
So he's talking about the procedure to locate this certain injury was not performed in the first autopsy. He is a medical professional. He does autopsies. He's able to see that. Okay. He's also able to tell if there were drowning. There's certain indicators that show if an injury happened before or after the patient has passed away. And if you got water in your lungs, it fills up in your lungs, you have to be actively breathing for that to happen. If you have a short amount of water, small amount of water, and your lungs aren't filled up, that is not consistent with the drowning. That's something that could have gotten in you after death, but it's going to be clear if you drowned, right? And you can drown after injuries as well.
Another limitation faced by this forensic pathologist was the absence of the anterior internal neck structures. The trachea and the laryngeal cartilage, the thyroid horn, and the hyoid bone were not received with the body. So he said that the throat was not received with the body,
Okay, so there you have it. He's saying that the throat area was not received with the body. We don't know if that's intentional or if it is on purpose. 9 times out of 10, from what we're hearing so far and what we know so far, I'm going to say it was intentional, and meaning on purpose, right? And for anybody who's complaining, let me be clear. Um, I'm not a fan or a foe of this guy, really. I understand what his job is. And I get that a lot of people like to talk and talk and talk. I think they mad because they ain't getting no check. I don't know what the problem is because it's really nothing to be mad at him about. At the end of the day, he show up because someone was taken away from here. Okay. And people don't want to hold anyone accountable for doing so. And regardless of what he gets, he is highly successful at getting um, some form of justice done and some answers for the families. So I can't be mad at this guy for that. Y'all seem to be mad because people get money, and that money money is needed in this world. But please, so that's petty and immature in my opinion, and a lot of that talk is racist. Okay, but aside from that, Crump is doing a great job. All right, he is visually looking at posters of the autopsy report, and he's walking from poster to poster. He's addressing the audience and he's reading and he's giving a little bit of translation to you guys, to hopefully understand what it is that he is reading. And he is not a medical examiner or medical expert. For all the people making silly comments, he can't read, he's incompetent, this is a shit show, all that kind of stuff. Crump is doing a great job. Okay, just listen to what the man is saying and taking the information that is given. Okay, forget all that childish shit.
When he got Nolan Wells' body in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. And so let's discuss that with what he said about that. He said, it is assumed that the initial pathologist retained these structures for additional evaluation. He said the retention of the anterior neck structures during an initial autopsy is a common forensic pathology practice. He was chief medical examiner for 7 years in Washington, D.C., and he said that if they had concern about throat or any fracture or compression of the throat, they too will hold them back. He doesn't know why they held the throat back, but he said the throat was not with the body of Nolan Wells when he received it in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy.
Okay. Okay, I hope you guys are following. I don't want to do too much positive talking, but I hope you're following because he's giving out a lot of very important information. And I expected there to be a lot of things that were found. And for the people who are saying, well, we need to see the original, hey, maybe you're not, this is above you. Okay, maybe this is above you and you should just go sit down somewhere. And maybe you're not mentally competent enough. I don't know. But from what I'm hearing and from what I have seen, but especially from what I'm hearing of this autopsy, I would not never trust that initial autopsy report.
He said, nevertheless, a posterior neck dissection performed without review of the anterior neck structures is incomplete. Therefore, this pathologist cannot rule out injury to the neck as a contributor or a cause of death. He said he would need to have the medical examiner in Mississippi allow him to review the throat. That's why he said his autopsy is undetermined pending investigation.
Yep, yep, yep. It would be undetermined because it is not a complete autopsy. It is not a complete autopsy when he's missing a lot of pertinent information, but especially body parts. Now, I don't know why my phone is trying to do some control shit that I don't even have set up. Voice control. I don't use that feature, but it keeps popping up. Am I shocked? No. Stop. End it. Go away. I don't know what makes it stop, but it's being weird. See, here we go. Here we go. There's no such a person to call. What are we doing? Cyrus active. Okay, maybe I should not.
Thank you for calling. Please
Yeah,
note that
yeah, maybe I should not be hooked up to this speaker anymore because it should not be calling stuff on my phone. I don't have no Cyrus on my phone. So it's got something to do with this speaker device here. I done videos talking to y'all about that shit. So,
It's about transparency. Because the initial autopsy rightfully removed and dissected each organ, there are additional limitations inherent in the second autopsy of Nolan Wells. The most significant of the limitations was the inability to directly observe the airway and the lungs for water and directly observe the stomach for gastric contents. He said it is very significant as to what the initial forensic scientists who got to review the body when it was recovered. We have heard from our call center people saying the body wasn't waterlogged. Well, we need to know those things. But unfortunately, because the body was decomposed and the organs have already been dissected, those are things we can only get from the initial autopsy.
and this is another reason why I say that whoever performs the initial autopsy has the advantage. Because if they were to falsely say that, yes, the body was waterlogged, as in being consistent with a drowning. Now, your body, you can drown while still being alive, but what caused you to drown? It could be injuries, you being held under, stuff like that. So just because drowning is determined, it doesn't mean that someone didn't actively cause that drowning to happen, so on and so forth. But if this team who did which is usually one person, the initial autopsy, if they're not indicating that and it is true, then that's an advantage that they have. And you cannot go back and recheck the body parts for that, because they are preserved as well as possible for the first one to do that. And once they're checked initially, there's a lot of things that you cannot go back and recheck for due to extended decomposition and stuff like that. So having a second autopsy can be crucial in these cases. I suggest it for anybody, really, for pretty much any death, especially if you speculate something. But you still have, you're at the mercy still, and you have some limitations, which we have here. But there is more than enough here to suspect that harm was caused to him, and there's a lot going on here. And the medical examiner is going to have to do further investigation of what is allowed, and there's going to be some questions and some side-eye if we're getting a completely different story or a significantly different story from the initial announcement. And I'm pretty sure they were waiting to sit and listen to what this autopsy was going to say so they can make their next moves.
Again, the manner and cause of death is undetermined until further investigation. We are hopeful that the Mississippi Medical Examiner would give Dr. Mitchell an opportunity to see their photographs and their observations to the condition of Nolan Wells' body.
Yes. Because the initial medical examiner is going to see pictures that were taken of the body at the scene. They are going to see the positions that, is suspected the body was originally found in. And they're going to also take their own pictures of the body as they have it. And it's going to be whatever timing after the passing, and they'll be able to understand why the blood flow was this, the coloration is here, and where the blood coagulated in this area, that and that, and what all that stuff means. They have a great advantage. They'll be able to describe everything they see. They start from the outside and they work their way from head to toe. Then they go inside and they work their way from head to toe. So that part is already been done, and it's, you can't go back and do it to that extent again, because you're not getting the body in that form. You're getting it way past further decomposition and after it's already been fully examined. So you could have not really other than incisions, but you can still have some other um, marks and things that may come from handling or the autopsy handling, but not really, and you would be able to determine postpartum marks. But it's a significant like handicap here, just in general, much less doing it without full participation of the first examiner, which let's be real, it's you're hardly ever gonna get, because they're like, why are you second guessing me? Why are you going behind me?
Closer in time to July 4th. That is very important, and we have to continue to demand transparency, President Johnson.
So let's be clear, this autopsy is doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. The autopsy is, I hope no one was expecting it to be conclusive given everything that I'm saying here, because it's just not very realistic. However, it's given enough because we don't have anything from them yet. It's given enough to let us know there's a lot to be said here. There's a lot to be discovered and should have been discovered by the initial examination. A lot of things happened. This is not conclusively just a, oh, he drowned type situation. So we got questions and answers, and we could feel a lot more confident in having those questions now with this. This is very clear. It's very clear. It's very straightforward, and there's no debating this. There's no. This is just medical and scientific, and it's nothing to debate or anything like that, unless you're just trying to cause confusion, distractions, you're racist, and all that other bullshit. But anyone with a competent brain understands exactly what we're getting here.
In addition, the original toxicology results have not been received at the time of this report, and we continue to wait for the toxicology to come back.
I'm glad he doesn't have it at this time, because sitting there reading the toxicology report along with the, that's just gonna make y'all more confused. All the people in the chat that's just really losing their doggone minds because they don't understand what they're hearing. It would be worse. Having recently gone over a loved one's autopsy and toxicology report, and that be the holdup, that toxicology. But having gone over thoroughly every aspect of the autopsy report, you're gonna see things in there you're like, there's no way, until you understand what it means and how the body works, because as you decompose, your body ferments and things like that. And so you say, oh, this person didn't drink alcohol, why is it showing this alcohol and this and that? Because that is a process of what happens to these fluids and body parts, so you have to understand what you are reading. Are you going to assume? It would be very irresponsible for somebody to look at a toxicology report or a medical examination postpartum result and just be like, oh, I'm going to go off what I'm translating from what I see, from what I know. No, you can't. You can't do that. You can't do that. Because you're going to be wrong.
Because again, that will be part of the investigation into Nolan Wells' autopsy by Dr. Mitchell. attorney would present Dr. Mitchell before the grand jury as well.
Yeah, yeah,
We
absolutely.
want all relevant information to be heard by the grand jury.
Absolutely.
Lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water, this lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water with suspicion of drowning, it is important to confirm how that person entered the water. This is the crux of the matter. This information is especially important for those deaths of persons who can swim. As in the case with Nolan Wells, at the time of this report, this forensic pathologist does not know the condition of Nolan Wells. He did not know whether he was conscious or
Right.
unconscious
Right.
when he entered the water. He said that would be significant. He said he did not know whether he was forced into the water or unforced into the water. He said that would be significant. So he said the condition of Nolan Wells before he entered the water would be the crux of the matter. It would be of utmost importance.
And that's why this works in conjunction with the police's investigation. As the police is going around collecting evidence, seeing the body, looking at the crime scene, doing what they're taught to do, analyze things, talk to people, give eyewitnesses, what people may have heard, and all of that. They're able to help the medical examiner by giving them information, which is their expert speculation in parts now, but it helps the medical examiner to understand, right? If somebody say, I seen him hit him upside the head and he fell in the water after that, that can help the medical examiner with the things that he finds, okay? But don't get it twisted. He still has a great ability to be able to see things that can indicate a drowning that happened while he's active, he's conscious and breathing and things like that. So that's given he has all of the intact organs, which we've already concluded that he has the disadvantage of not having to be able to properly investigate the organs because of the decomposition. So the first medical examiner had all of the advantages pretty much that you could ever ask for in this autopsy, and it greatly limits the second medical examiner's ability to thoroughly investigate the body and the organs, which is part of the body.
To being able to determine a cause and manner of death. He said, definitive circumstances of death are required to determine the manner of death.
Mm-hmm.
For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out, and let me really call your attention to this. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out if any intervening non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death of Nolan Wells. Understand, he said based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. That is significant. With the following questions still outstanding, number one, What were the circumstances that led to Nolan Xavier Wells entering the water? Number two, what was the body position when it was found? We know that a member of the United Cajun Navy said that he was face down and he was fully clothed. Number three, was there water in the airway? Remember we talked about the lungs and the airways, where they filled with water.
Now, if you guys think that the second medical examiner is going to be able to find water in the lungs and the airwaves, no. That is the advantage that the initial medical examiner has. We already talked about that. So, yeah.
Number four, is there any evidence of injuries to the anterior neck structure? We got the autopsy without his neck. We got the body without his neck at the time of the second autopsy. Number five, is there any evidence of any intracranial hemorrhage? He said that is going to be very significant. Things that he could not observe at autopsy that the initial medical examiner would have been able to observe.
Yes.
Number six was the composition of what was the composition of the stomach contents? He talks about that being important because when was he found? How long had he been in the water? How long had it been since his last meal? All those things become relevant factors when you're trying.
Yes, and this is coming from somebody who done been through family members' autopsies, done had second autopsies done, and been in medical field, criminal justice. They're going to be able to determine the initial medical examiner, the stomach contents, how digested it is, at what process it is in of being digested, and then they got your intestines. All of these things that are far too decomposed and I guess you could say ran through, because the first medical examiner has already fully, cut them open and checked them out and everything. But they have time is very important. These things don't just stick around and wait around in case a couple of more people want to check it out. No, it go ahead and disintegrate pretty rapidly when you come to individual body parts. But the first medical examiner can see the stomach contents or lack thereof. They can tell at what stage of digestion that it's in, and they could pretty much tell you when that, because your body's not gonna keep digesting when you pass away. It's gonna release whatever's in your bowels, but it's not going to keep digesting food. So it would freeze right then and there. That process is over with, okay? And of course, the second medical examiner will only be able to see pictures and notes of that from the initial medical examiner, which he did not have, of course.
To do a thorough and impartial autopsy. And number seven, what are the toxicology report findings? He said the best classification again for the cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells is undetermined pending investigation. This forensic pathologist reserves the right to review and incorporate additional forensic pathology information into his opinion as it becomes available. He says the above opinions are expressed to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. Dr. Roger A. Mitchell, July 19, 2026. And we know that, as I said, this is only another part of the puzzle. And even though it tells us significant information, we still have more questions than we have answers at this time. And we will continue to press forward.
Shout out to Ben Crump. He did a great job. He did a great job of reading and explaining this medical examination here, and there is nothing that I'm unclear about here. I think a lot of people will be, and some because they want to be. So, of course, we know how this is going to go on social media. People are going to be running their mouths about it for days and days. They're going to make 1,000 videos. They're going to tell a lot of different stories, and they're going to give their layman's talk. They're going to get their ignorant talks and all that. They're spamming the chats with it. It's just ridiculous. But, everything that I've said is I'm not left after hearing this with any confusion. This autopsy is indeed very, very, very helpful, and it is reasonable given the circumstances. Okay, um, I think people are under the impression that if you get a second autopsy, it's the same as having that initial autopsy, and that is scientifically impossible. It's medically impossible. It's just not impossible in this realm. It's just not. So you have to be able to understand a lot of things that I've already explained, and the rest is just, I don't know. People talk too much about shit they don't know nothing about. And the way that they just going in this chat, it's like they hired their bots, all kind of shit. But it's clear that there's a lot of things that need to be answered by the initials, and hopefully the initial medical examiner will be willing to work with the second examiner if they're going to continue to hire him on to continue on investigating, which I would think would be necessary. But that is a call that they're going to make, determined upon, a lot of things. Now, for the people who saying why the medical examiner wasn't there to tell it himself, first of all, he's a damn medical examiner. People die every day, B. Okay, lots of people. The man is busy and he costs money. Okay, if you want that man to come stand there and do what Crump just did, honey, y'all would have been more frustrated with him than you would have been with Crump. I guarantee you, because this is his field, and he's not going to be very good at breaking shit down and spoon feeding you. Crump did a great job. Okay, you'd be like, I don't understand. Oh, he told. What is he saying? Is he saying that I'm did it, but why he talking like that? All that kind of stuff. And plus, he not gonna do it for free. So yeah, people just whatever. But this is pretty good here. Okay, busy. And okay, there we go.
We're getting the answers to these questions because as you, yes, we will persist because as Christine and Elmore and Attorney Parker and I talked this morning, we know that there are so many conflicting stories.
Okay, let me try to speed him up a little bit.
The fact that he said him being found face down. The fact that we have other videos where people who have called saying that is Nolan, who is in some kind of dispute with others. We're looking at all of these things. The fact that the GPS tracking of the boat is being questioned by many. We're trying to dot every I and cross every T because we understand that when our children's lives are at stake, it matters. Not just what happened, but what we do in the aftermath of them being taken away from us. And just like the NAACP stood up when another tragedy in Mississippi taking the life of young Emmett Till, we will stand up for Nolan Wells. Just like the NAACP and civil rights leaders stood up when another Mississippi son was taken in Medgar Evers. We will stand up for Nolan Wells. And just like too many of our young people, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Botham Jean, Terrence Crutcher, Stephon Clark, Sandra Bland, Atiana Jefferson, Sterling Elton Sterling, Eric Gardner, George White, Tamir Rice, young
And
people.
he really only looked down one time, calling out these names. And mind you, he was mainly on all of these cases, if not most, if not all. People from all sides, they criticize the mess out of this man, and I just see that this country is conditioned and accustomed to criticizing anybody that help our people, especially when there's injustices like this. I don't want to hear no other arguments or situations that don't have anything to do with the particular incident when something like this happens. Okay? Because if that's the case, when they little kids go shoot up schools, then you know y'all want to be victims, right? When y'all do crimes against each other, you want to be victims. You want to be victims. People feel sorry for both sides. They're giving lame excuses and stuff for both sides. But if somebody else were to do something to you, then you got the worst kind of talk in the world. You've seen it. You see how they treated Carmelo. It's not the same. It's not the same. You get all the help in the world, nobody complains. And mind you, this is a one man show pretty much. And you don't have an abundance of clients. I haven't heard any. But you don't have his clients coming out here exposing this man and hollering and screaming and talking about how he did them dirty and none of that. You have clients that wouldn't have gotten the answers they got. You have clients that wouldn't have gotten any type of admission, guiltiness, or compensation and all that. And then when people talk about, oh, he see money, he want money, and all that. Okay, first of all, who is he? What's his profession? What's his field? What's his specialty? Because a lot of things that you guys are expecting him to do, that's not what he does. He is in a position that was very much needed for our people. Okay, and he's feeling it, and his track record speak for itself. Okay, so I just think all that extra criticism it's very common. It's very common from what I've seen in my time on this earth. And it's unnecessary, and I can't rock with y'all on that. Um, I think he did a great job so far in his speech and his presentation, but all I see is a lot of hate and criticism, and he's getting it from all over. But, this man still press on and do his job. And I don't see nobody else stepping up to get any type of results for any of these victims, and it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. In most of the cases, all that they're going to allow is monetary compensation, and that in itself is telling you that they did exactly what the fuck everybody's saying they did. But, a lot of this stuff don't need to be explained, so I'm not even going to get that deep into it. But I will say shout out to Ben Crump, because he did a great job of reading that autopsy, and it's very clear to understand if you have the capabilities, and if not, then you need to seek understanding or rewind this video, because I did explain it. Okay? It's clear, not cut. People are coming in the chat, what was the results? See, that's what I'm talking about. This is not something somebody can just tell you. You're looking for murder, suicide, drowning. You're looking for just A one word answer. You're looking for a TikTok answer. That's what your ass is looking for. This is something that you have to understand a lot of parts to it. That's why y'all ain't fit to speak on a lot of shit. You're really not. But I know what this shit means to me. I can give my assessment of it. Just, I'm gonna call this my opinion based upon what I've heard here from this medical examination and from everything that I know as well as understand and everything that I have seen or heard about this case. Um, but it's clear that there's something happened. Something happened. Someone did cause damage to him and caused his death. And they are covering it up. They're covering it up. And given a lot of other information that has come out about the people he were on the boat with and their GPS and all that, how they was moving that day, I think we all know what has happened. And we know so much so there has even been their white counterparts come on social media and say, we know exactly what happened. We know exactly what happened. They have not only said we all know exactly what happened, they're saying we, as in us, as in white people. And then they go to say what happened. And you know what they say? They did something to Nolan. They watched Nolan take his last breath and they came home and they parents told them to shut up, get off social media, and they lawyered up. Okay, and this is coming from their own people. Not that I needed that, but however, it is that clear. And this medical examination brings it all home. Okay, so the rest is how accountable can you hold them for this, and who can you hold accountable? And that's what Crump does. And he does it very well. And the man is still alive. Ain't that something? So he's going to do his thing. He and his team, they're going to do their thing like they always do. And the more we fight back, the more we stand up, the bigger the war gets. And I guarantee you, this one here, just like Carmelo's, it's not like all the others. Okay? It's not. So let's go.
Who I was trying to focus on. Gary, we stand up until we get the truth.
That's right. We're front and
until we
center.
get
We're front and
justice
center.
for Nolan Wells.
We're front and center.
Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells.
On a whole nother
Justice
level.
for Nolan Wells. Justice
On
for
a
Nolan
whole nother
Wells.
level, baby.
Justice for Nolan Wells.
On a whole nother level.
We were Christine and
Thank you, Crazy
Elmore and
Juice.
President Johnson can come back and join us on the stage. And Javon, we will have you coordinate questions and answers for us or President Johnson or Attorney Park. And I will say this as President Johnson comes to the stage, I was sharing this with him and Chairman Russell, Christine Clark. God knows we should have you at the Department of Justice now. Christine Clark. As I was sharing with President Johnson and Reverend Al and others, this is so important that we continue to talk about Nolan Wells and what happened to him, and that we get attention on him, because to get attention on him, it brings attention, Cliff Jones, to other cases that are not getting their attention as of yet, but I'm so grateful to Christine and Elmer because they said whatever we can do, not only to help our son, but to help these other young black boys who was killed the July 4th holiday. And I want to take a moment before we answer your questions to talk about two other young black men, both 18 years old, who were killed in extraordinary ways that are very similar to
Pay
Nolan.
attention. Pay attention. Pay
President
attention.
Johnson, 18-year-old Daniel Irvins
Oh.
went on a fishing trip, out on a fishing boat with two other young men. He was the only black. It is alleged that he ended up accidentally drowning. But his two white friends got his cell phone and threw it away, got his clothes and threw it away, and then went and deleted all of their text messages with him and social media. Sound familiar? And they've only been charged with tampering with evidence. And his mother is crying out that they should be charged with murder because if they would lie about his cell phone and his clothes and deleted messages, then they will lie about what really happened.
About what
to
happened?
Daniel Irvins.
Yeah. Okay. That's not that hard.
And then there's the man of President Johnson, Christine Clark, of 18-year-old Sterling Smith. Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, on 4th of July, was at a house party with about 10 other people. He was the only black person at the house. He somehow ends up shot in the head, dead.
Baby, y'all gotta stop.
Some of the friends get rid of the gun. The police show up. They tell the police it was an accident. It was an accidental shooting. That they were playing Russian roulette. And Tyler Smith ended up getting killed. And apparently, Christine Clark, President Johnson, the police just took their word for it. His mother and grandmother are incensed. They asked the police, did you do a gunshot residue test on his hands? And the reason they said they had to call us, like Daniel Irvins and Nolan Gilbert's family, because the police told them, President Johnson, that there was no need to do gunshot residue on his hands or any of the other people in the house because I don't understand this logic, but they said if they were playing Russian roulette, then all of them would have gunshot residue on their hands. So we don't need to do gunshot residue tests. It makes no sense whatsoever. So they're taking the word of these 10 people that your son just killed himself. And you don't have to worry about doing any investigation or testing forensically anything. Just take our word for it. Now, can you imagine in any three of these scenarios, had the survivors been young black men and they was with a young white man and he ended up dead, what kind of investigation would that have been? What kind of interrogation would that have been? Would they have ever been able to see the light?
There, you can also contact Saxony.
So I think they cut him. Let me see. Hold on a second. I think they cut that. They're like, hey. We didn't say y'all could come here and talk about all that. We said y'all could come here and talk about. Oh, that last song got me choked up. Wow. You know, the Russian roulette, I don't know why people try to discredit Crump. But yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. We know gun residue comes after a bullet has been fired. So This is the kind of treatment that they give to our people, and this is the kind of the lack of respect and care that they give. And they also, I guess, they think you're dumb and they expect you to just accept whatever they say. So these people are calling me to give me my assignment, which they could send it through the tablet and we could communicate there. But they hear me because I know they're listening on the phone or busy, what the fuck ever. And they're insisting on uh okay, I gotta get somebody to check my back. This is so weird. I gotta get somebody to look at my bag. Let me see, who can I get to look at my bag with today? Okay, I'm gonna have to grab somebody. Like, can you look at my back? Tell me if you see anything. Cause I can reach it, but I can't reach it. I think I can barely reach the spot, and I don't feel anything with my fingers, but I feel it with my back. And this has been going on for a while. It feels like a bee stung me and left his stinger in me. Now, I'm not saying that that's what I think happened at all. Because if I got stung, I would have needed an EpiPen. However, that's what it feels like. And it feels sharp as if the bee had just stung me on occasions, depending on certain things. And I started to take note of what makes it feel super sharp. And it seems like that could be just about anything. A deep breath, a certain movement. I notice when most of the time when I eat something that happens. I think that's really weird. The body is something. And all I can say is, I think that whatever it is, it's very important. It is, because it's a weird thing that's happening. At first I thought I was tripping, I was imagining this. But no, I'm not imagining it clearly, because it's very sharp, very painful. It's like somebody got a big long ass needle and they trying to get in my back. If you call me, I got you. I'll call you back. But if you call me back to back, especially when technically, according to the government, I'm supposed to be asleep, and you be bothering me, then you expect me to hold it on the road. Now, where I get the law back in this thing? So, in conclusion, y'all, that was he brought up a lot of other cases. He covered that was a really good conference there. They had the funeral yesterday. I didn't watch. I don't do funerals, but it's there for anybody who want to see. I've seen pictures and stuff online, and I gotta say, you got Terrell Owens that spoke out. You got some people who spoke out who haven't really been as vocal or active before. Like I said, we're at a different time right now, and I think everybody can tell that we are showing up in ways. We're more present now when it comes to these things, and it's time for this shit to stop. It really is. It's been time, but our people are starting to really show that, yeah, it's definitely time for this to stop. And so hopefully, people are getting the picture. Again, I must emphasize that you guys get a hold of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's ISIS papers. Okay? She has a very, very good book, and she has her lectures and things on YouTube, and that would be your driving Bible. I'm telling you. I can't express that enough. It's very important that you understand her work, her findings, her theory, and everything, because that is the absolute truth, and that is our situation. That is the world that we are in. That is the situation that we are in, and our people need to fully understand that and be active in it, because as you can see, that woman ain't telling no lies at all. But you need to understand this, okay? At 50 years old, I can think of a lot of cases, similar stories. Our people should know better, right? Um, one that I always go back to is Tamala Harsford, and yet and still, you guys are still doing it. So we have to learn, we have to know, we have to understand, and we have to teach. It does not matter what you wish. It does not matter what you hope for. It doesn't matter what you feel or what you think. It matters what is. It matters what is. And there's not going to be anything in existence that is going to bring you to this time of existence and harmony and all of that you wish for. Okay, so we have to do better, and we have to be present. We have to be educated. We have to act according to what is. And there is absolutely no reason whatsoever in this day and time, any day and time, but especially now and henceforth, there's no way any of our people should be under the delusion that you should be going anywhere with these people, and especially when you are the only one of you. They have one goal when it comes to us. One goal. That is where we're at. I told y'all this years ago. I told you what stage you were in and what the next stage was. And we have been at this stage, and I just don't understand what could be confusing about it. Not having an education is no excuse. Being ignorant is no excuse. You're if you're no good to yourself and others, if you're gonna be in that stage. So get out of it quickly. Get out of it quickly. They want each and every last one of us gone. You can deny it, you can want to deny it, or however you feel. I don't know. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you don't see it. You don't see it. If you don't see it, it makes about as much sense to me as it does when they say we don't see color. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. So, Frances Cress Welsing, shout out to Ben Crump for doing a wonderful job of delivering those autopsy findings. Shout out to his team, himself, the family, for doing that autopsy and bringing it to us. And we continue to send them strength and blessings, and our support is not going anywhere. And, let's keep going to the next phase. To the next phase. Because that autopsy is very, very clear. Very clear. Very clear. So here we go. So here we go. I'm gonna say this last thing too, because we have a lot of our what appears to be our own people that seem to want to work against us, but well, not seem to, they are. I mean, clearly, and it's in abundance, and that's unfortunate. But that's the type of situation that was carefully crafted, right? And I don't know what's there could be several reasons behind that, but there's no confusion about what is. So I don't know how you can be confused. I don't know what people expect to get out of it, or people be confused about what side they should be on, or some stupid shit like that. Hey, it is what it is. They don't hesitate. They don't hesitate to stand up for um, any of their own, right or wrong. Hunter Metcalf said it best. They don't hesitate to stand up, right or wrong, in mass, all over. And it don't need to be negotiated, it don't need to be talked about, it just is. So, think about it. Peace, y'all. Alright.